Here at Training Camp 2024, presented by American Airlines here on DallasCowboys.com, we have Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones. Jerry, we're just 6 months removed from a pretty painful loss, that you could say, for the franchise. I know in the days after, you met with the team, you've met with Mike McCarthy many times over the course of the last 6 months. You've talked about wanting to carry some motivation into the season from that loss, but how can you also ensure that there's not a hangover as well?
Well, candidly, I want there to be a scar there, and I say that figuratively. But I've found in my life that remembering how bad it hurts helps, as long as it doesn't limit you in terms of your productivity. So I want all of the reminders to be there. I don't want anybody to have a hangover, okay? And I want everybody to be wanting to, if given that opportunity. Now, I knew when we didn't beat Green Bay that it's going to be almost a year before we got another chance. Now, that's a long time to stew in it. And a lot of what you've seen in the off season is part of the stewing. You have to go through a lot to get where we were. We were healthy. We had our best players out there. We were ready to go, and we were ready to go win some more ball games than we won. I remember that here in August, and I know they do too. So to me, it's productive to be reminded of a heavy disappointment.
Yeah, and speaking of some of that offseason stewing, you see some guys like Tyron Smith, Tony Pollard, Tyler Biadasz, Pro Bowl level players that you couldn't quite bring back in free agency, but you put a lot of trust in the youth on this team. Why do you have the trust in the youth on this team, the coaching staff, to put them in the right place?
We had several younger players last year that should have played more normally, but you had those players. We call that progress stoppers, but of course Tyron Smith is a progress, but he isn't. You want him on your team. You want Biadasz on your team. But the facts are, we had a lot of players, handful of players that should have played more and can play more. They'll get their chance this year. It's a lot of the reason why we didn't step out and do more in free agency, because we wanted those young players to get on the field and play this year.
Yeah, and talking business, this time last year, we were talking about a Zach Martin holdout. You were also able to get some contracts done when we were out here last year. Trayvon Diggs, Malik Hooker, Terrence Steele, as soon as we got back to Frisco. What is it about this place that maybe puts some contracts on the table and allows things to work out here?
Well, let me put it like this. What you should point to is you can have contracts with players, and that still doesn't mean that they're going to play under the contract. And so when somebody looks at contracts, you got these contracts, you've got that what if. That's life. That's life, and I understand it. But you have to work through it, and you can't flare when it doesn't go exactly to form. You've got to make an adjustment. You've got to sit down and work through it and work it out. Now, this is a thing called pro football, NFL football, and I'm not singing the blues because I love it. And it's just part of the game to have to go through, whether it be a Martin from last year. What you've got this year is you've got Dak Prescott, that's last year of his contract, and unlike other teams with their quarterbacks, he's in here playing. Other teams have had their quarterbacks not even come to camp with a contract. Dak's not doing that. Speaks a lot about his leadership.
Absolutely, and when you look at Dak Prescott's sense and case, how similar or dissimilar is the situation that you're going through with Dak Prescott now as to what it was in 2020, and does that help you two guys whenever y'all are at the negotiation table?
Well, I think that Dak, as you would expect, is very pragmatic. He's thoughtful, and he does his business the same way, with the same kind of intensity and professionalism as he does what he does out on the football field. Now, as it turns out, they both are some of the same. It takes both to make it go. But Dak's, in my mind, very special to deal with. I've dealt, over the last 35 years, I've dealt with a lot of agents, a lot of players, and Dak's one of the best.
You could make the case that the season that CeeDee Lamb had last year was the best for a receiver in franchise history, breaking franchise records in receiving yards, receptions, and was knocking on the door with touchdowns. How important is it to keep that duo of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb together for your team's future?
Well, what's exciting is how hard they worked this summer together. They spent a lot of time. Consequently, I'm not at all worried about them missing a few practices here at the start of the year. We're 6 months away from getting in the spot to play in that Green Bay game, so we got a lot of time left. But they've done a lot of work together. But CD, when we drafted him, we were ecstatic because he had fallen to us. And he's been that and more for the franchise. He's a player that gives you a lot of ways to move the ball with him in the ball game. So he's a top player, and my intent is that we get something done.
My last one for you, Jerry. Fan base apathy. You've probably heard that term over the course of the last week from the media. Whether that's the case or not the case, why should the fan base have confidence that this team can still win a Super Bowl?
Well, let me just say this. I think our fan base is frustrated. And I think they want to beat a Green Bay, and I think they want to beat the next one that comes up. Now, we're the second seed in the whole NFC. And we were as healthy as any club that has been in the playoffs in many years. Not just the Cowboys, any club. We were healthy. We should have gone further. And we had a quarterback that arguably was the most valuable player in the league last year. We should have gone further. Now, my read from our fan base is frustration, apathy, not when you are so far ahead of the rest of the league. This is a league that takes every 32 clubs. We are eons ahead of other clubs when it comes to ticket renewal, season tickets, timing of season tickets. When you look at television and you look at the teams that they watch on TV, we're going away, number one. That's not apathy. They may be hot, they may be wanting more, but they're not apathetic.
So confidence remains high, right, Jerry?
So, confidence, I just want to get out here and beat a Green Bay in the next one that comes up.
Understood. Jerry Jones, Hall of Fame owner and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys.